they watching, I'ma make them sweat. Put your money down, place your bets. Degenerate, yeah, I'm a sicko. Who else gon' get you to the window? I know they watching, I'ma make them sweat. Put your money down, place your bets.
Welcome back to another episode of Graybo's Giblets. This is the College Football Lock Show, Week 8. We're already in Week 8, fellas. We're out here dropping giblets. I'm your host, Graybo, and I'm joined by always Dennyonetime. But we have a very special guest this week to help us win some money. We have Matt Josephs here with us, a.k.a. the best nickname in the business, Mid-Major Matt. Or Group of 5 Matt is a sports handicapper and host. The 3 to 4 p.m. Eastern Time radio show, Border to Border, on 106.1 ESPN the Radio in Richmond. He also specializes more in the G5 conferences. That's where you can make your money. And has a love for team totals and props in the sport. What's going on, Matt? Thanks for joining us today.
Doing well. Looking forward to it. Crazy. You're right. Week 8 already. It feels like this season has flown by.
Absolutely. Denny, anything to add?
No, I'm excited, man. I was telling Mid-Major Matt, I thought I had the coolest nickname in the business, Dennyonetime, but I think I have a love for G5 football as well. And so when I heard, I was driving down the street about a month ago on a Saturday morning, getting some last-minute college football news into my brain, and I heard this guy talking on Channel 84 on XM Radio. And first I heard his name is Mid-Major Matt. I was like, that's pretty cool. And he started breaking down the Hokies, and he said he was from Richmond. I was like, get out of here. I was like, we have a mid-major football junkie that lives in Richmond. I was like, let's get him on the pod. So we tried it a couple weeks ago. He had a little illness. Now you're healthy. Thank you for your patience this morning. As our IT guy, Fitz, was not here. We appreciate you being patient, but really excited to have you on the show.
Yeah, Fitz, you never allowed to leave again. We were all huddled around Duke's laptop, and Major Matt's probably like, what is this? Nah, he's
Everybody
been
please
great.
send hate mail to Fitz@graybos.com.
You'll love to see that Monday morning. So we're going to get right into it. Kind of recap Week 7 and then kind of see what we're looking forward to this week. So we always like to start off with our guests. So Matt, how'd you do last week betting-wise? And if you didn't bet, what do you like this week? What games are you looking forward to the most? Do you have anything to add? And then we'll get to Denny.
Last week, a couple situations seemed to come through. You had Louisville, fresh off their Notre Dame win. They go to Pittsburgh, a team that took their previous quarterback and made him a tight end during the bye week. And, of course, Pitt won. So that was a winner. I thought I would need the 7.5. I didn't need the 7.5. And then Marshall, who we just saw last night against James Madison, they go to Georgia State and play on a baseball field and don't play very well. So those are two winners last week. And it's always important to just look for situations that you want to take advantage of.
Love it. Is JMU the best team in Virginia?
I think that's undisputed.
They're a wagon.
Yeah.
They beat Marshall last night, only allowed 9 points to Marshall. Still undefeated. They're Virginia's team right now. Duke, well, how was your week last week, and what are you looking forward to this week?
Wasn't the best week for me last week. Wasn't the worst either. I ended up going 1-1 on my big bets. I know I got a lot of you guys on Ohio, and I apologize for that. I was in Colonial Beach for the weekend. We go to this Mexican restaurant called Los Hermanos, and they have this one TV in the back, and they don't care about American sports, so it's always on cricket or something. So they just let you just grab the remote and take it. So I put it on Ohio. The restaurant started filling up with people, and people are looking, and there's always good games on, and I'm glued to the Ohio game. This week looking forward to in the D3 world, Randolph-Macon versus Shenandoah homecoming. I'll be there, but I will have a TV on in the back of Cedric's car watching Penn State, Ohio State. Obviously, I've been on Penn State all year, and I'm looking forward to seeing them beat the Buckeyes. I do have a question for our guest here, Matt. Why? I know why I love G5 football. What got you into the G5 world?
I just think there's a lot more information for the top 25 games, and there's a lot more people who focus in on those conferences. I can't watch the Big Ten without physically getting ill, so I don't pay attention to that. The ACC hasn't been that great, but I mean, there's still some value there. So you look at some of these smaller conferences, and for like the people who are just beginning in this industry, focus in on one area and then expand out, because it can be daunting to see all these conferences and all these things out there. Just focus in on your area, focus in on 2 teams, 3 teams, and then expand out a little bit.
So within G5, Are you a MAC guy, Conference USA guy? Do you have a specific conference? Do you have a couple of teams you rode last year or this year? Just trying to get a flavor for what you've been betting the last year and a half.
Action's always important, especially since it's Tuesdays and Wednesdays. I see Conference USA trying to do it, and it's like Conference USA is irrelevant anyway. And then Sunbelt. Obviously now JMU's in the Sunbelt. I love betting that, and the AAC occasionally has some value. So yeah, it's focusing in on all those conferences and just trying to find winners every week.
Yeah. I always say that like NFL lines are like really freaking sharp, and like big time college football still rather sharp, but like in the MAC and whatnot, you might have a line that's off 3 or 4 points. Is that how you would view the world?
Yeah, and in the NFL, you can get away with teasing more than you can in college. I mean, I don't mind teasing in certain situations, but like it's very tough to ask two teams to do something you want. So that's why teasing in the NFL is at least a little better.
Yeah. Yeah, cool. Sorry, Gray. Back to you.
I love it. I mean, everything that I do wrong in betting, he just said. I love betting the big games because that's what I watch, So I'm glad I'm going to win some money this week with Mid-Major Matt here, actually get into the G5 and stuff like that. But going back to my week last week, the Oregon push was tough. That call to go for it on fourth down. Gutsy didn't work out for Oregon, and that push was hard to swallow. But I had a good week overall. My 2 big bets, UNC and Florida State, go ACC, made me some money. But big week this week. We got Penn State, Ohio State, we got Duke, Florida State, and we got Bama, Tennessee rematch for the big conferences. And then we're also going to get into some G5 and mid-major match today. So let's go to the board and see what we like. Our producer Fitz is not here, but he also sends in picks. He is 5-10 year to date. He had a UNC minus 3.5, which took the win. He had Kentucky minus 2.5, which was a loss to Missouri.
I tried to tell him that.
Missouri, came through and beat them 38-21. He is taking UCF plus 18, getting back their quarterback at Oklahoma, who's been a wagon at home and just beating teams at home by like more than 30 points. We'll see how that works out. South Carolina at Missouri over 58.5, and he has Wazoo at Oregon over 60.5. He loves the overs. So let's go to mid-major Matt. What do you like on the board? What are 2 or 3 plays that we are taking? Because you say you don't have a lot this week, but you have a few plays that I'm going to be putting a couple units on because I'm feeling good this weekend with mid-major Matt here, baby. What do you like on the board?
Well, I'll focus on I like Georgia Southern this week. And the reason why I like Georgia Southern, and one of the things I'm going to actually do is play the team totals. Because I've been playing more team totals because I feel like, in any given football game, you have 4 units and you may not trust 2 of the units. So why not play what you feel strongest about? And I love Georgia Southern's offense. I feel like they beat up on the bad teams this season. They're coming off a terrible loss against James Madison. They look bad, but guess what? All their goals are in place. They're 1-1 in the Sun Belt East. And they get Louisiana Monroe in this game. And Louisiana Monroe averages 21 points per game allowed in the first half. So if your state allows it, go to DraftKings, go bet the Georgia Southern first half over, which is 19.5. I would put more units on that, maybe like 2 units on that, and then maybe 1 unit on over 38.5 for the game. You look at what Georgia Southern, the only reason why I don't love this spread here is because they're playing on Thursday. They're hosting Georgia State, and sometimes we've seen teams kind of pull off at the end. So therefore, all I need them to do is just have a really good first half, maybe add a couple touchdowns in the third quarter. You look at what Monroe has done. They're coming off a tough loss against Texas State. And then you see what else they've done so far this season. They got blasted at Texas A&M. They got blasted by Appalachian State offensively. South Alabama put up 55. So I think there's no problem with Georgia Southern getting to 40 here. So I'll take that first half team total and that game team total, hopefully hit both as they sit their guys potentially in the fourth quarter.
Love that. I love those 2 plays, and I'm going to be taking. We don't really talk about team totals, do we?
Well, he's locked in when you can just remove some of the variables.
I love it. I love it. Denny, on the other hand,
was that your lead
for this section?
Okay. All right. Okay.
Spread it out.
Cool. I love it. Denny 7-8 on the year. His 3-unit play loses outright 23-13. We don't want to talk about that anymore.
Oh,
and he had Georgia State -1 was a good win. I rode that with you. I also rode Ohio with you. But,
yeah, at Los Hermanos, if you guys watch the game, Ohio was moving the ball fairly well, but the quarterback threw 2 very bad interceptions, just desperate kind of heaves, and both times it got run back 30, 40 yards. So field position was I was a painful loss while I was eating my burrito at
Well, let's get a better taste in our mouth. What do we like on the board this week?
All right, 3 games I like this week. I like Memphis minus 6.5 versus UAB. I think Dilfer's mailed it in. He's realized his team stinks, and Memphis has been kind to me this year. I'll take Georgia State plus 3.5 versus Louisiana. I think them getting more than a field goal here is stealing. Georgia State has been a wagon for me this year as well. And then a team that has not looked very solid this year, Arkansas. Arkansas is laying 6.5 versus a bad Mississippi State. I think it's a must-win spot for the Razorbacks. When Razorback Nation gets very antsy, the team always seems to rally for Pittman, and I think it's a spot. They have bowl implications here. They need to win this game. I think it's a spot they just do. They let the quarterback run. Whatever they got to do to get a win here, they're going to, and I see them covering that 6.5.
I like it. For me on the year, I had a good week last week, going 2-0, so it gets me to 8-6. UNC minus 3.5, great second half out of UNC. We're going to pick on Miami again here. Florida State minus 17.5, absolutely destroyed Syracuse. I knew that was probably going to happen. Seminoles moving to the top 4. So I'm going the opposite direction of G5, like I always do. I like to bet on what I watch, and it's probably not a good thing, but it's been working out. USC minus 7. Caleb Williams bounce back game against Utah. We have seen that Utah, when they're not at home, they're just a different team on the road. Cam Rising, I think, is out for the year. They still are talking about, he's doubtful for this game. He might come back next week. I mean, we still haven't seen him. We were talking about this since week 1. Utah their defense is very good at stopping the run, but it's Caleb Williams. Had a terrible game against Notre Dame, and he can throw the ball. I think he's going to mail it. He's going to air mail it this week against Utah. Bounce back minus 7. I like that. Some books, I think you get them at 6.5, but it's moved to 7 on my book. And the other thing I want to talk about is Clemson minus 3 off the bye, getting healthy, going to Miami. And it's surprising that Miami is not very good at home. Miami's in the dumps as well. Another hard loss at UNC. I just think Clemson also, their fan base talking about how bad they are this year. They're fired up, and they're going to go to Miami, and I think that number is too low. And then, speaking of Big Ten, mid-major Matt, this is going to make you ill. Iowa and Minnesota over 31.
How do you get rich in America betting Iowa?
Over 31. I just think that's too low. And I'm going to take it. And I'm going to just let it ride. And I'm probably going to be sick after it because it's going to be 17-10.
I want to mid-major Matt. How do you feel about that one?
17-14 maybe?
17-14.
Beg for a push.
It is going to be close. Going to be close. But I just think it's too low. I'm going to take it. All right. So our second segment, we do an upset of the week, mid-major Matt. Who is your dog of the week? Last week, our team went 1-1-1. We had Michigan State plus 5. They covered, should have won outright. That was Fitz's pick. Oregon, my pick was a push. Denny's pick, New Mexico, got blown out 52-24. So we look at the point totals. Fitz is now winning at 40.5 points. Duke at 36, and I'm at 14. We got one little point for a push. So I need to come back here. So we'll start with Duke. This segment, Duke, who is your super dog of the week? And who can you think this team can win outright?
Yeah, I'm fading your Hawkeyes over there. I don't see your Hawkeyes scoring at all.
Hey, Minnesota could score 32 points.
I see Minnesota winning 10-7. But yeah, I'll take them as anybody getting more than a field goal from Iowa. So give me Minnesota getting 3.5 points.
I love it. Fitz is going with Penn State plus 5.5 on FanDuel. That's moved to 4.5. So we will give him 5.5 since he found that against Ohio State. And I'm going to go with a pick that Fitz likes as well. UCF plus 17.5. The starting quarterback is back. I think the Sooners are still hungover. They're all this hype of beating Texas. I think UCF can keep it close. They can spread the ball out. And I hope that they can cover this number. Will I be surprised if Oklahoma blows them out? No, but I still think Oklahoma's hungover. They did have a bye last week. I think UCF they've been struggling, but I think Dylan Gabriel, who transferred from UCF. They're going to be up for this game, and they're going to cover. They're not going to win, but let's cover and get some points. And the other thing I forgot to add was, did I see Fitz's picks?
You said Penn State. You did Fitz's picks for the first
So
section?
the first one.
You did.
I said
you
UCF
did.
plus 18. He likes UCF too, so that's good enough for me. Mid-major Matt, do you have a big upset for the week for us?
So, am I looking for somebody to win outright or to cover?
Cover, kind of both, because what we do is you get 5 points for a cover and 5 points for an outright win. So if you get both, you get 10 points.
I will take then to go for the 10 points. Miami, Ohio, at home against Toledo.
Let's go.
I'm a big Brett Gabbert guy, and I tried to fade Miami, Ohio last week. It didn't work out. And look, Toledo's been playing really well. That Illinois loss week 1, I'm still bitter over that. But I just think that Miami, Ohio at home, they're going to play really well. It's a short number. So I'm going to try and go for the 10 points and take Miami, Ohio to win that game.
God bless you.
Awesome. Duke, that's Duke's team. He's been riding
From your mouth to God's hands.
All right, let's move on. So what we do in this segment, Mid-Major Matt, is our cover 3 picks. It's top 25 only. So you look at the Week 8 spreads, and you have to pick 3 teams. And so if it's a pick'em, for example, we have a pick'em like UNC Miami was a pick'em, and UNC will win by 7, you get plus 7. If UNC loses by 7, you get minus 7. So every point matters in this cover 3. That's why it's so fun.
You like to talk when I'm in last in categories. Make sure you stress who's in first place in this.
Duke's in first.
Okay.
They cover 3, but everyone's close. Fitz had a big week.
Yeah.
But Duke is in first right now. He's plus 127, which is really good. He had a 2-1 week. He had Auburn. Auburn actually got you negative 18.5, but then you had UNC and Missouri. UNC 13.5. Missouri got you plus 19.5. Fitz, big week to get him back in the second at plus 120, 3-0. He got plus 46.5 for the week with UNC. Pitt, he was on Pitt with mid-major Matt at 24.5 points for him. And Oregon State was 8.5. And then for me, I had excuse me, I'm reading this wrong. I had Oregon with the push, so I didn't get any points there. UNC 13.5, and Indiana got me minus 11.5. So, stayed around even there, but I'm plus 111.5, so I'm right there in third. All right, so let's go and let's find some winners for cover 3. We'll start with Denny. Give mid-major Matt some time maybe to look at this, to kind of figure out the game. Denny, who do you like this week?
So I do think it's Penn State's year to sneak into the playoff. I think this is where they do it. I think they actually beat Ohio State. I think there's a chance that Penn State's ahead and Franklin blows it down the stretch. I don't think he's the best end-game coach, and they could lose by a field goal, but a field goal is still less than 4.5 points. So give me the Nittany Lions. I like Navy getting double digits, 10.5, Service Academy versus Service Academy game. I expect them to lose, but less than 10.5. And then I'm also on UCF. I think that's one of my favorite bets of the weekend, getting 18 points. I think it's just too many in this spot.
I like it. Navy Air Force. What is it? What is the point? Under 30?
I don't know the total.
8.5 or something like that, I think it was. That's always a trend. And I believe Air Force is starting quarter. Don't know. I like that. Very low scoring. Fitz is taking Penn State and UCF as well. Look at you two guys colluding.
Yeah, and we didn't know that.
That's UCF 18. And then he's hoping for a Riley Leonard. Duke plus 14.5. So if he plays, that is a good number for Duke. Definitely. For me, I never really bet against Bama. I'm not going to put money on this game, but for cover 3, I like this. I think Tennessee plus 8.5. They just don't give up the big plays on the outside to Bama. I think they can hang in, maybe not win the game, but I definitely think it'll be a lot closer than 8.5. Maybe a field goal. USC, big on this week, minus 7 against Utah. Utah away from home. And then we're all on UCF plus 18.
We riding.
So that means Oklahoma's going to
All three of us, dear God.
All right, Mid-Major Matt, top 25. Tell us that our picks are bad or tell us that our picks are great. If you had to pick any from the list in the top 25, what spreads do you like? What three spreads would you lean, I guess, for yourself?
So, being that I'm looking over this list, and there's only one game I would probably play,
Okay.
and it would be Navy. Plus the points. Whenever you get the two academies playing each other and you get double digits, you always take the underdog, even though Navy's nowhere near as good as Air Force. But yes, the Air Force QB injuries. Navy has some QB injuries, which isn't great. You're looking at a total of like 34.5, and you're getting 10.5. So, let's use some logic there. So, I think Navy's my only Navy. I think Navy's the only one that I would look at. I hate both Penn State and Ohio State, so I hope they both lose. The only other one I would probably consider is Arizona State, maybe, if Washington's slightly hungover, but I don't know if I could put money on that. I would probably look at maybe some sort of prop with Michael Penix Jr., maybe a touchdown pass over for him. But, Washington's got to be slightly hungover. It's just Arizona State's terrible. It's a lot of points, and it's at 10:30, and we know the degenerates need that late-night 10:30 pick. So, small lean to Arizona State, but I certainly wouldn't risk much of your bankroll on it because Washington could beat them by $1 million if they're focused.
I like it. And Penix Jr. Was during the preview show was my pick to win Heisman. Right now, he's the front runner. Loving it.
True story.
Should be listening to Giblets. All right, awesome. Good information from the Major Matt. Now, segment 4. It's our favorite segment as we look at this record here. Lock of the week. We ride it. This is our lock bet of the week. We look at the records. Fitz is 6-1, people. Cashed the over 56.5 last week with the I think it was the A&M game. And then myself, I'm 5-1-1. I had to push with Oregon. That kind of stung because that was my lock. And then Duke's Ohio minus 5.5 was a loss. He is 2-5. So Denny,
yeah,
you're only 2 wins out of this. You rode a certain team.
I did.
I think you're riding again because Mid-Major Matt is also on this team.
Well, I would say because I'm heavy on Miami, Ohio futures to win the conference. I bet preseason. They've covered a lot for me. They're playing a tough Toledo team. It's going to be a close game. You would think the play for me here would be to hedge, to take Toledo. And if Miami happens to win, then they're in the driver's seat to possibly win the conference. But another strategy would be to double down, to pin my ears back, and just go full speed into the freaking Red Hawks of Miami of Ohio. And that's what I'm going to do for the same reasons that Matt said. Really, it's these two teams are really close, but you're playing at home and you have the better quarterback. I do think Gabbert is also one of the better mid-major quarterbacks, and I put my kids through college by betting the Bailey Zappies of the world and the Jay Caners of the world. So let's go with Mr. Gabbert and the Red Hawks. 3 units. Ship it.
3 more units. And I will say, the times he does bet Miami, Ohio for his locks, he's 2-0. Fitz is going Minnesota. He got them at 4.5, plus 4.5. He said probably need the Gophers to score once to cover this. So he also thinks the under will hit in that game. I'm going opposite of y'all there. Then for me, I'm picking on Miami again this week. Clemson -3 off the bye, getting some guys back healthy. They were getting picked on in the media. I think Clemson comes out and rolls Miami, who is not good at home. All right, here's the lock of the week that we all are going to take. No pressure, Matt. Who we take?
By the way, I just have a question. Are you a gardener? That's the only people who hedge. I never hedge. I'm just not a hedger. I mean, then again, I don't bet enough to make life-changing decisions, but I'm just anti-hedging.
So our producer Fitz is probably the biggest live hedger you'll ever be, especially when it comes to golf.
I mean, I'm emotionally a hedger, so I'll bet against the Phillies from time to time as the game goes along to put a little bit of money emotionally. But I'm not going to hedge. I mean, plus it's a little early to hedge Miami, Ohio, your future. I mean, there's still like 6 weeks left, 5 weeks left. So it's just a little early to do that sort of thing. But I'm not a hedger anyway.
Yeah, no, I don't. Make sure to be clear. I am not hedging. I'm pinning my ears back. We're taking all Red Hawks.
There you go.
There we go.
I'm going to stay in action. And one of the best bets in college football is Chris Creighton as an underdog, and that's the Eastern Michigan Eagles. They're about a 12-point underdog, I'm going to say, depending upon your book. Shop around. Always have multiple options. Eastern Michigan is just one of those teams that when they're underdogs, they hang tough. They went to Minnesota. They covered. They covered at Central Michigan. They did not cover at Jacksonville State, but Rich Rod is an absolute awesome coach. But Chris Creighton teams know what to do. They ugly games up. They're one of the worst offenses in the country, average only 19 points per game, which is like 11th worst in the country. But their defense is top 30 in scoring defense. And you're giving me 12 points here in a game that could be a 10-point game. It could be 24-14 for all I care. But Eastern Michigan as an underdog, Chris Creighton is one of the best against the spread underdogs you will ever see. So give me Eastern Michigan plus the points.
Look at that. I would never have thought of that with Eastern Michigan. So,
I bet you'll bet
Eastern Michigan.
I bet you bet.
I'm going 5 units, Eastern Michigan plus 12, baby. All right. Anything to add, fellas? Any other bets that you like? Sprinkle, money line, anything? Before we do that, I want to thank Matt for coming on with us. It was awesome having you, and I hope you come back, even though you came in and saw us fumbling around with our podcast. But
yeah,
it was great.
Matt, and where can the folks check out your picks, what you listen to, you hear you? Where can they go?
At Mid-Major Matt on Twitter. I will never call it by its other name. It's Twitter, always and forever. So follow me on Twitter at Mid-Major Matt. And then, as you guys mentioned at the beginning, I'm on ESPN Richmond from 3 until 4.
Excellent.
Is that Monday through Friday?
Monday through Friday.
Okay, cool.
Awesome. Anything to add, Denny? Anything?
Nah, great show. Matt, thanks for joining us. Appreciate your patience. And then we're never doing another podcast without our head of IT, Ryan Fitz, ever.
He's the glue. Well, that's all for today. Good luck with your bets, everyone. Thanks to our listeners for riding with Graybos. And be sure to tune in next time. Leave us a 5-star review. We are out.
Giblets.
When I go to sleep, I don't see sheep, see dollar signs. $100 got him beat the odds for the 100th time at a money line. Brock Purdy was irrelevant, now I'm at the front like a cutting line. G5 to the power 5, Graybo's on fire like it's summertime. I know they watching, I'ma make them sweat. Put your money down, place your bets. Degenerate, yeah, I'm a sicko. Who else gonna get you to the window? I know they watching, I'ma make them sweat. Put your money down, place your bets. Degenerate, yeah, I'm a sicko. Who else gonna get you to the window?